Question: what is the most Independence Day movie? Answer: Independence Day. In this video, Justin and I will be talking about this classic 1996 disaster movie. Is Area 51 real? Is 36 hours really enough time to thwart impending annihilation? And do aliens really sound like cats? Find out on this episode of Did It Age Well? Justin, what were some of your hot takes on Independence Day after rewatching it?
I love this movie. I forgot how much I love this. It's the perfect Independence Day movie. The first thing I noticed right from the beginning is that this movie makes you feel small immediately, and the threat is so huge. And Roland Emmerich did an incredible job of making the threat feel huge from the beginning, and I think that was key to setting up the whole premise and the whole vibe. You had to feel this impending doom, and just those shots of the ships coming over and the shadows were so gigantic. Masterfully done. Another thing I thought while I was watching this is like, they clearly went into this movie with an attitude of go big or go home. Like, this movie has to feel huge, and it feels huge. They show you so many cities, so many characters, and it all feels seamless too.
My general hot take on this movie, it is basically a masterclass in action movie writing. Every moment, every beat, every scene matters. There's no fat in it at all. There's a lot of things that are very contrived in this film, but you totally forgive it.
The thing I came away thinking after watching this was, this is the peak of American greatness. To me, this represents America at its best. They thwart an alien invasion in 2 days.
If you think about it, you have an alien race who has technology way more advanced than us. They come on the evening of July 2nd when everything gets destroyed. And it only takes, honestly, a day and a half.
36 hours.
36 hours, because everything gets destroyed on July 2nd at night. And then July 3rd is trial and error chaos. They try to penetrate the shields. They can't. They try to shoot nukes at it and they can't. And then July 4th, they defeat it. And the final scene, as they see all the ships go down, it's still daytime. It looks like noon, like early afternoon, actually, as like Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith are smoking the cigars. So like, it's pretty astounding. It is very much a testament to American greatness, or the mythology of American greatness. I mean, if you think about like other conflicts that we've had, even in recent memory, like post 9/11, war in Iraq, that's not taken a day and a half to clear up. And the fact that it was not only our country, but we united a global coalition in a day and a half.
Using Morse code.
Using Morse code. It's kind of inspiring. It's actually very heartwarming.
It is.
I really like it because of that. Obviously, we both really like the movie, but anything that sticks out to you?
There's so many things. I have to say, one of the things I really enjoy rewatching this now in 2020 is revisiting 90s wokeness, and the fact that you have a Jewish man and a black man working together to save the whole world, and a cast of characters that includes a single mother stripper, openly gay colleague of Jeff Goldblum, just a lot of diversity for the 90s.
Yes.
I feel like it was the beginning of being a more inclusive era, and I feel like now, like, it wouldn't be a big deal to see that kind of pairing in a major movie, but I feel like at the time it was relatively new, and man, it just felt great. It felt awesome to see new faces on the screen, like being the heroes, not just on the sidelines of the action, but like front and center.
Elvis has left the building!
Yeah, I just want to add that Will Smith, this was essentially the movie that made him a superstar. People that knew Will Smith knew him from part of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, or the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but Independence Day really was the beginning of Will Smith, the superstar. He was like the perfect person to cast in this role, and he brought so much bravado and humor, but there was an element of sincerity in him. His character was willing to take care of the single mom's son. That just adds to how good of a person he is. And then he's just a badass too. He's like, of course, the best fighter pilot, which is what you expect.
Yeah, and you know, for all the love you're giving Will Smith, I want to give the same amount of love to Jeff Goldblum.
100%.
I think Jeff Goldblum is at peak sexy in this
Yes.
movie. Like him in that wife beater under the flannel, he just looks great, and he's at the peak of his Goldblumian powers, his powers of improv, and he just has this unbelievable ability to dance between being a comedic improv guy and then being very serious about this impending threat to humanity and how he's going to save us all.
Right.
I mean, that is a masterclass in acting.
Yeah, and I'd also add to that, it was a disaster movie. All these cities get leveled, yet it's not this uber dramatic, somber movie. There is so much humor and so much levity.
Yeah, and the fact that you could go from Jeff Goldblum bickering arguing with Judd Hirsch on the way to DC in the car about how slow his dad is driving, to like a very heartbreaking scene with Bill Pullman saying goodbye to his wife. It truly is a moving scene. Like, it truly works.
It is.
The fact that Emmerich can nail both sides of the coin like that makes the film so much more powerful, because I feel like both sides complement each other.
One of the things I like, those visual effects, even though they're from 1996,
Yes.
they still hold up. I mean, obviously, when I'm watching it now, I'm like, okay, these are 25-year-old special effects, but still, they really do hold up. I'm impressed.
I would argue that they are in many ways superior to many of the effects you see now. It really struck me that on the night of July 2nd, when the ships open up their main weapons and blow up the White House and the Empire State Building and Library Tower downtown LA, these aren't CG explosions. Like, they had to build models and blow them up. So you see like the actual physics, chunks of material flying in real time. All of that's real. And there's something visceral about seeing that to me is so much more powerful than seeing some destruction scene in a Marvel Avengers movie. All that stuff looks so fake when you look at something like Independence Day, you know? That's why when I watch like Avengers movies, yeah, they're entertaining, they're great, but those scenes don't have the same visceral impact as seeing like something that is actually blowing up. CG is cool, and I appreciate the cost savings and the safety concerns, but there's something about seeing real stuff blow up that's so much better. Like, you can't compare.
A couple additional notes I want to say about what I liked. The details in the script. Things like very early in the movie when Will Smith reports to El Toro base and he gets that letter from NASA in the mail saying he did not make the cut. And then in the third act, when him and Goldblum are going to the mothership, when he gets into space, Will Smith has that line where he's like,
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
and literally it was just like a plant payoff, and it was those two moments.
Very efficient. They don't have to hit you over the head with it.
And that's all you needed.
Yeah, because if you have a great cast like that, and if you trust those actors, they'll bring it home with just the one line. That's all you need. I feel like a lesser filmmaker would have written the death out of that one thing, would have hammered it way too hard. It would have become tedious. But instead, Roland is like, okay, we got that. What else can we do? Okay, we're going to give Jeff Goldblum's character a purpose in life. He wants to save the world. He's recycling all the time. Okay, now he's literally going to save the world.
Yeah.
Everything on the screen has meaning. They set up Jeff Goldblum's character early on and his storyline of not being over his ex-wife, right? And because he still wears the wedding ring, right? And then the payoff is so beautiful later when Will Smith marries Vivica Fox. They have that close-up of the wife reaching over and touching the ring on the finger. The movie is packed full of details like that.
What did I like least? Basically what this is going to be is probably Justin and I nitpicking on stuff that we find kind of funny and humorous, but ultimately we love this film. First thing is, okay, Vivica A. Fox and the kid in the car trying to drive to El Toro, and then on the night of July 2nd, the spaceship explodes and there's like this rolling fireball towards them. And they get out and they're running with the crowd and they find this door that goes into this bridge bunker thing and they hide out in there. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've already seen the destructive power of this. Like, it literally levels city blocks. How the hell are they going to survive by going inside this door? Obviously, the next time we see them, they're coming out of the rubble and they're dirty and tattered, but they're fine, including the dog.
Yeah, I agree. The whole movie requires you to suspend your disbelief throughout, but they were asking a little too much in that scene. I agree, because it assumes that fire only moves in a straight line. Like, there's like a wall of fire that's consuming everything in its path. But the idea is if you just get into this little side door, it's like the little service thing, the fire's not going to go in there. It's just going to go straight by you.
Weirdly kind of reminded me of Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he rides out the nuclear blast in a lead-lined fridge. I forgive it because I like the movie.
It's forgivable too because people die in massive numbers, including characters we care about, like Jeff Goldblum's co-worker and the First Lady. So I think because characters that we care about do die, we forgive some of these survival scenes. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you just have to accept. For me, the big one is the fact that, you know, you have this alien civilization that's incredibly advanced, has unbelievable technology, and they're so advanced that they go into planets, annihilate the races, take over all the resources, and move on. And yet, they didn't think of creating a firewall for their computer system. So like, Jeff Goldblum immediately, within like minutes, figures out how to hack their system using a 1996 Apple laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with it because at this point we've seen every major city in the world leveled, and you just want the humans to catch some break. And when Jeff Goldblum comes up with this idea, you're just like, okay, great, do that. Also, like, wouldn't that be the first thing you try to do? Like, wouldn't they have tried that on day one?
Yeah, definitely. And this kind of goes into my thing. Okay, so how did Area 51 or SETI not figure out the satellite signal thing? Jeff Goldblum's the only guy in the world that saw that the aliens were hacking into our satellites to relay this countdown clock message for total destruction.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thought where I was like, wait a minute. They've studied this alien technology for nearly 50 years, and then they wait until every major city's been leveled to even tell the president about Area 51. It's like,
Yes.
everybody's fired. If I'm the president, I'm like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Like, why didn't you tell me this the second we saw those ships arriving in our atmosphere?
It's like, oh, by the way, we have one of those things.
Yeah, after billions of people have died.
Also, Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum fly this to the mothership, and the mothership is not like, oh, wait, this is a missing ship from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, like, we've been trying to contact it for 50 years. What's going on?
Yeah, and there's no biometrics on the ship or anything that tells them that there's like humans on board. Whatever, it's fine.
The other thing I noticed is that Will Smith volunteers to fly the alien spacecraft that's been in Area 51 for like 50 years because he saw another one fly, and by noticing how it maneuvered and flied, he could immediately fly this thing. But that's another thing you just forgive.
Look, all he needed was a little post-it on the dash that said which way to turn the wheel.
One thing that stuck out to me, and this goes into this whole unity thing, was the fact that when Vivica A. Fox finds the First Lady,
I love that moment.
and that whole scene where she's helping her, there's that line where she says, I voted for the other guy.
I voted for the other guy.
We don't really know the political party of Bill Pullman,
Right.
because that's not what this movie is about.
It's about unity.
Exactly.
And in fact, when they introduce Bill Pullman's character, the first thing he discusses with his aide is the fact that the opposition party is against him and he needs to stick to his guns and everybody's criticizing him. It's funny how that's how they set up his introduction, because the point is in about 24 hours, none of that's going to matter. Kind of like right now, we're living in a pandemic. All of humanity is dealing with this global threat, basically.
Yeah.
And we can't even do that. We can't even come together. I honestly kind of got emotional watching this movie because I'm like, man, this is what mankind should be doing. This movie lays out the blueprint.
And let me just piggyback on that. The fact that Bill Pullman, the president, puts on a flight suit and goes up and fights, it's like very old school leader. He's on the front, like he's the first person to fire a missile. The first.
The first. That's what you want in your president. You lead by example.
Although part of me was like, does this even be allowed?
Well, the general kind of like tries to stop him and he's like, no, I'm going up there. I mean, Bill Pullman is just one of the greatest presidents on the screen for me. That speech, I mean, get out. It's one of the greatest presidential speeches.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
So efficient. It's not too long. It's just perfectly crafted and perfectly delivered.
I have another note that said, alien autopsies never go over well in any movie. You know, when Brent Spiner is like cutting the alien open, never goes well. Like in any movie that they do an autopsy on an alien, it's always bad news. You're always going to die.
Yeah, I will never volunteer for that job. One thing I noticed that was interesting and weird is that the aliens sound like cats. If you listen to them closely, it kind of sound like cats.
Welcome to Earth.
Independence Day. Did it age well? I think undoubtedly yes. It holds up brilliantly. I think the special effects are great. The acting's great. The script is tight. All the characters had clear motivations and clear arcs that were all paid off. This is an ensemble movie inspired by the message of unity.
1000%. I think this is the greatest Independence Day movie ever made. This 4th of July. I hope people revisit this. I hope this movie has a revival.
Thank you for everybody watching. This is Did It Age Well? If you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below. We have another show called Film School, which we discuss really cool, nerdy topics.
Let us know what you're watching this Independence Day. And coming up on Saturday, we're going to put out another video on the upcoming Hamilton musical, which is hitting Disney Plus on July 3rd. So we'll be watching that early on the morning of July 3rd, making that video same day and putting it out for that Saturday. So let us know if you watch that as well.
See you guys.
Take care.